Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Cuba. With so much going on in the world, it appears that possibly Cuba might be next in this cleanup around the world. So I thought it'd be interesting to pull up their leader's chart, which I don't have his birth time, but I do have his month, day, and year, and the chart that I have for Cuba to see if I see anything coming and when, most of all. So before I get going, I always want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter, and you will get all of my predictions delivered free to your email address every month and every week. So sign up, go to galacticcenter.org, and while you're there, don't forget to check out my Patreon group, which is a spiritual community that we meet live every week and talk about world matters, as well as don't forget my galactic planner. If you're interested in astrology, you want to know how it's affecting you personally, then you want to try out my galactic planner. Go to galacticplanner.com, and remember, if you've ever had an urge to learn, truly learn Vedic astrology, go to my university website, universityofvedicastrology.com. So let's pull up the two charts that I have. First of all, let's look at the chart for their leader, who is Miguel Diaz-Canel. And looking at his chart, I can't help but notice where his Mercury is. Now, don't pay attention to the houses because we don't have his time of birth, but we do see where all the planets are for that day. And I can't help but notice his Mercury being 13 degrees of Pisces. Why is that significant? And it is way significant because around April 19th and 20th, we're going to have Saturn, Mars, and Mercury line up at that exact degree. So Mars-Saturn is extraordinarily difficult. Mercury makes it all about communications and travels. And I can't help but notice that with Rahu and Ketu, Ketu will be aspecting that Mercury as well by its quincunx aspect, its 6-8 relationship. So that Mercury is going to be blasted in his chart. And you know, no leader wants to give up being the leader, no matter what. So he's not going to just surrender. No, he is going to fight to the end. But something big and huge is happening. Now, if we look at his chart from the moon being the ascendant, because we do know pretty much his moon's in Aquarius, well, then we know that Ketu, Mercury, and Venus go to his second house in his natal chart. And that deals with finances and money, which means there's a huge loss. The economy is completely drained here in Cuba. That's what I'm seeing from his chart. But it's only going to get worse, and it's going to get a lot worse. And everything that he says, since the second house deals with our speech, will be confronted and with Saturn, Mars, and Mercury lining up on his natal Mercury. And then not to mention his natal Mars has been being blasted by all the transits in March, especially towards the end of March, that we have transiting Mars on his natal Mars. And that could be attacks, that could be problems. It is definitely not an easy time for him. Last but not least, looking at where his natal Jupiter is, it's being aspected by Saturn right now as I speak, which is today's date, is the 19th of March. So Saturn is exactly squaring his natal Jupiter. He doesn't have freedom anymore. He doesn't have a leg to stand on right now. There is nothing positive about this. So Saturn deals with karma. Saturn deals with, getting back what you've put out. And now is the time. And I think he's really in a lot of trouble, and he's going to have to give up. I know he won't give up without a fight, but I think April's the time, towards the end of April. Now let's look at the chart I have for Cuba. And I actually have a time. I don't know how much I can trust the times when the countries were really transformed and changed. But I can't help but notice where the Sun and Saturn go in Sagittarius, because there's going to be transiting Saturn has been squaring those positions, and it's going to come up and square the Sun. And that won't actually be till a little bit later, like a little bit towards the end of April. Yes, the end of April. And there will be major confrontation for the leader. Why? Because the Sun represents their president. And Saturn is exactly squaring it. Now, if we can take the moon in this chart, which we probably can, the moon sits at 22 degrees of Virgo, where Saturn is opposing that. And the moon in this chart actually rules the 4th house of the homeland. So Saturn opposing that. Cuba's got to change, and it will change. A lot of people love Cuba just because it hasn't changed. It's like stepping back in history when you go there, looking at all the old cars. It's like, am I in the 21st century or what is this? It's like, it's very unique in that way. But the citizens there are not happy with the economy. They need help. And I think, well, once we have Jupiter go into Cancer, which will be June 1st, I think that the Cuban people will find freedom and will find that their country, things will be very different. And it's what they're looking for, because actually around June 1st, Jupiter's going to go into Cancer, which is wonderful for this chart because it goes to the 11th house, representing from the moon, that is. I have to make it from the moon. But from the 11th house from the moon. It means money will come in, support, help. And Jupiter will be casting a trine to Jupiter in this chart and opposing Venus. These are the two benefics in a chart. And simply what this means, if you don't understand any astrology, and you don't need to, that help is on the way, freedom, a free country, not under communist rule. And here's another thing. Venus will represent great wealth, and as Jupiter opposes it, while Jupiter is in Cancer, exalted, I think there's going to be new opportunities for wealth and productivity in the country. That's what I'm really seeing, that there's going to be opportunities for people to make money, and the economy of Cuba will be different. And that's the most important thing that I think people want to hear about this, no matter who's taking over or what's happening. They just want to be able to afford things, make their own money, and have a productive life. It's all going to change. It's all going to change here, and especially, you know what else I kind of see is their health care. Their health care because of the moon in Virgo, it's difficult. They don't have the necessary health care that they would like. And that will improve over time. I think over the course of the next few years, Cuba will be in a place where it will be prosperous and making money and health care, and also schooling will vastly improve for Cuba, especially starting by June, because Jupiter will be aspecting Jupiter, and that represents the children of the country. School, education. I think this is their opportunity for a new life. And that's what I'm seeing for Cuba. So if you would like more information on me, learn more about me, go to my website. Go to galacticcenter.org. Thank you.